my broccoli's planted and my cauliflower. Because I'm not familiar with this, I'm going to write cauliflower purple on here. A lot of times I have abbreviations because I have been growing the same varieties for, decades. So I know what an abbreviation is going to mean. They're not usually too obtuse, but I try and make sure that there's no question in your mind. It's always interesting. The brassica seeds all look pretty much alike. They're little teeny tiny round balls. There is differences in color. There are differences in size. Like some of them are way tinier than others. I noticed that these guys are tinier than some of the other. Because I don't care what company it is, I put a clip on it because I don't want it to be spreading all over the planet. Okay, so that is what I'm going to be doing. I've got my broccolis planted and my cauliflower. Next, I'm going to do my cabbage. I will probably just plant 2 seeds in each thing, and I'll be planting more of those because I do want more cabbage. For the broccolis, you are planting a plant which then produces fruit. It's actually just the flowers that you're going to eat. For a cabbage, you're eating the whole thing. When I plant lettuce, sometimes we do individual leaf harvests off of our lettuce plants, so we get a lot of lettuce off of one plant. So that makes it last a long time. But I want to keep track of all this stuff, and I want to have lots. So I'm going to plant 2 of those and 2 of those. And those are both going to be tiara. Sometimes they roll right out, and other times they don't. That was one of those not rolling out moments. And let's see, in each of these. So I'm planting 4 seeds. There's a pretty good chance that all 4 of those will come up. I can choose to eat some cabbage younger than others. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do, let's see, those are both, sometimes I think this out well and sometimes I don't. So I will have to make some other labels. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'm just going to make extra labels this time. Because I want 6 seeds to go in the ground to start with. And I can always plant more in another month or something. I just don't want like a gazillion cabbages coming ripe at the same time. These hold very well, but at some point they will start to split. And then if you don't harvest them, you can actually have them spoil, which is not cool. So, yeah, it feels like a terrible waste because they're such a wonderful, sweet cabbage. We love them as coleslaw. They are not a cabbage that was designed for sauerkraut. They are designed for use as fresh or cooked, and we've made it into stir fry. We have made it into all kinds of other things. We like to actually substitute it sometimes in Chinese food instead of lettuce. For instance, Vietnamese, I shouldn't say Chinese, I should say Asian. The Vietnamese spring rolls use, at least the recipe I have, uses lettuce shredded in it. But we actually like it better with tiara cabbage in it. I figure it's healthy, it's delicious. What could go wrong? I don't know. So this is going to be Stonehead, and he will take a lot longer, but that's okay. He'll be there sometime in the spring. Stonehead, you can make coleslaw with, and it works fine. I don't think we know what variety we actually used. A couple of years ago, we made some coleslaw that was the best we've ever made, and unfortunately, it was with purchased cabbage. We don't know what variety it was. It was a storage cabbage, that's all we know. Part of your success with a storage cabbage in terms of whether you're likely to have a good response with your coleslaw is how it's been managed since it was dug up, or well, not dug up, cut up, because it's chopped off at the base usually. Sometimes they're not handled all that well. I sometimes question whether this constant spraying of water that you get at a lot of the grocery stores is really all that great for the development of fungus and stuff like that. We've had batches of coleslaw that just didn't seem to ferment fast enough to combat the mold that apparently was on them, that we, it's just one of those things. It didn't work out. Okay, I am just going to continue this process. I need to get my pak choi seeds, my lettuce seeds, and I need to finish this out. Now, when I get done, I am going to first make sure it's not, always make sure that your little presser thingy is not depressed, otherwise you'll start spraying water across the room when you start pumping this up. This is just a little hand sprayer, like they sell in the garden centers. This one is a cheapie. It comes from Harbor Freight. I actually wrote on it when I started using it because I wanted to keep track of it. We have several of them, and I was like, well, how long are these things lasting? I mean, we usually get them on sale. I want to say they're about $6 usually. Or at least they used to be. I'm sure that everything's gone up. But you just pump it up, and then you can spray your seeds. And this is a great way to soak your seeds without having to worry about making a giant mess of your house or your greenhouse, or washing your seeds off in some random direction. So I'm just going to spray that well, let it soak in. I'm going to do that with everything I do today, and I'm only going to plant this. I'm not going to plant this today. When I'm done with it, I'm going to put on this cover. This is actually the grower setup, the seed starting setup that they have from Haas Tools, and I have to say I am very impressed with the supplies. This is a super tough. A lot of the trays and compartments and all that kind of stuff that you buy are very flimsy, and this is super sturdy. I mean, if I were to hold most of the tops that you buy up in the air like this, it would be flexing all over the place and all wobbly. And this is, now it's a hard plastic. If you're going to be rough with things, you're going to beat things up. This was used all last year. I don't have any place great to store it, so it was stored in the greenhouse over the winter. I try to keep things in the shade, but that doesn't always work. So I'm very pleased with their stuff. I also have their giant trays, which are about that big. So they're about 3 feet long and about the same width here. And those are used with the 162 seed starting compartments. And those are monster. They're really, really high quality, professional grade plastics. They're the kind of thing that's going to last for years and years. Mine are 3 or 4 years old at least now, maybe longer. Maybe 5 or 6. Anyway, I'm very pleased with them. They're showing no sign of fatigue. They're not showing any of the cracking or fragile stuff that you get from UV or anything. So we're very super happy with that. I'm going to go get the rest of my seeds, and I'll be right back. I'm back. Okay, pak choi. I'm going to do an entire row. So when I do an entire row, I will put just one label on it, and I'll know that that's the entire row. It's only when I'm doing kind of mixed things like this that I label everything. These are brand new seeds that just came in the other day from Johnny's. We placed a nice big order a while ago, actually, and they came in a very timely fashion. So let's see. They say plant it 1/8 to 1/4 inch deep. It's very small print. Okay, so 1/8 to 1/4 inch deep. Again, I'm going to put 2 seeds in each thing here, because if I start getting frustrated by the quantity I have with something like a pak choi, I can always harvest the whole plant. As a baby pak choi, this particular variety is good as baby as well as full grown. I have done both, and this is a great pak choi. I'll read you as soon as I finish putting the last 2 seeds in what they actually say about this. Yeah. As always, these are relatively small seeds. They call this a hybrid pak choi. It is listed as something that is very versatile because it can be used for either full-grown stuff or for baby. And we really like that. It is, when you look at pak choi, some plants are mostly stem, almost like a celery stem in terms of the length of the stem, with just a little bit of leaf, or mostly leaf. And these are kind of a nice in-between. We like that a lot. So, yeah. So this whole row here is going to be pak choi. I'm just going to cover them up. Sometimes I'll just do them with my fingers like this. When I'm doing the bigger trays, you know, the 162s or something, I'm more likely to actually sprinkle more soil, or sometimes I'll sprinkle the perlite or the vermiculite. This white stuff is perlite. It's just an expanded mineral. It contains no nutrient, but it can act like a mulch on top of your seeds and keep them moist. These are Selenova green oak leaf. Do I have any? I'm using up some of my seeds this year too. Sometimes you kind of get carried away. You can wind up with like a bazillion different seeds. And the fact is that no matter how well you store seeds, they lose viability each year to some extent. And therefore, having 20-year-old seeds, and yes, I know there's stories about the seeds from the Egyptian pharaohs' pyramids that have come back to life. Yeah, that doesn't usually work with this kind of a thing. They have been able to regrow pits from archaeological sites, from date trees, and a few other odd bits and pieces, but not when I'm counting on vegetables do I want to have to do something like that. Now these are coated seeds. That means that they have been coated with a clay coating, and that is usually believed to create a shorter shelf life for the plants, for the seeds rather, because the process of coating them actually kind of, I don't want to say damages them, but somehow does make them more fragile. My success rate for coated seeds with certain types of seeds is just so much higher that to me it is worth it. So, yeah. So if all of those come up, I'll have 4 Selenova green oak plants. I don't expect them to all come up. They're older seeds, and yeah. Adriana. We really liked Adriana the last time. It's a butterhead lettuce, and we were very pleased with it. And I'm going to plant 2 Nancy's and a row of Adriana, I think. Adriana, if I'm remembering correctly, held really well for us last year. In other words, it didn't tend to bolt. I'm really focused on seeds that don't bolt because, well, if they bolted, then yeah. So I'm going to plant this one. I'm labeling everything here because I don't want to be confused. I mean, sometimes you can figure it out, but when you're trying to be picky and trying to figure it out accurately, the more labels you have, the better off you are. Okay, and we'll do the same thing here. Yeah, I went to go buy lettuce this week and I was just horrified. I was like, whoa. I had to really scrounge around to find anything I would want to even bring home. And the price was ridiculous. So I was like, okay, I got to plant. I got to plant. Because if I get too many that come up, we'll just eat whole things of lettuce instead of individual leaves. A lot of times we just harvest off individual leaves, which is a great cheat. Certain types of lettuce, like romaine and stuff, you could just kind of peel off the outside, leaves on the heads. And I got one. There it is. I had one seed that went right between my thumb and my palm, and I'm like, okay, let's not do that. I don't want to have it be fussy. I'm also going to change the direction of this. And that information is going to tell me that this entire row is one thing. I could tell I'm rusty. Man, I'm rusty. Yeah. It's okay. Everybody's rusty when they haven't planted anything for a while. Usually we're just constantly doing something. And this year was a bit tough. Jack was diagnosed with cancer in June. We knew it was just a matter of time. We didn't know how much that time would be. We were granted a whole 6 months of goodness before things went down. And that was awesome. But it means that we constantly were kind of under the threat of issues, always knowing if we were on the road where there might be someplace we could take him to an emergency vet in case something went wrong. Everything went fine. We had a good 6 months. But between that and our normal schedule, it was just a bit much. And we just decided that sometimes you have to give yourself permission to take care of yourself. And this was one of those years. So there we go. Now we have lettuce. Okay, awesome. And I'm going to spray these guys the same way I sprayed the other ones. And that's it. I'm going to put my lid on these guys. I have a table over by the window. Isa's asleep underneath it right now on her favorite spot. She loves to lay upside down in the sun. She's a sunspot baby. We say that she's solar powered. She has always been solar powered. She has, when we used to have grow lights in the house, it was very difficult to keep her out from underneath the grow lights and not sitting on a plant because she loved the warmth of the grow lights. So yeah, give this one more over here, and I'm actually going to spray the unplanted side too because I don't want that soil to dry out. Because if it dries out, then I'm going to have issues later. I don't want that. I'll be planting again probably in a week here. Ideally, I would have figured out my numbers a little bit better. I may change things up. We'll see. I might decide to plant some other things in here because I don't want the problems of the soil drying out or getting funky or anything else. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm giving more moisture right now. It's not a problem. And I am going to cover this just like this. And I'm going to close these things because I'm not going to heat it. It's going to be in the house. I will see how it goes. I have raised things over there without a heat mat before, many times, and it was fine. If I decide, when it's time for tomatoes and peppers and stuff like that, I will probably use a heat mat. I may even shift things out to the greenhouse. It depends on what our weather's doing. Right now, we're fairly warm at night. We're probably down around 30 Fahrenheit. So, yeah, that's fairly warm for us at night. I mean, it's winter. It's still solidly very winter. So, yeah, well, I hope you enjoyed this little escapade today of me wandering around and pulling together a few seeds. And I will be going out to the greenhouse, and depends on my schedule, a day or two, to get some kohlrabis and radishes and carrots and spinach planted. I was looking at some very sad little spinach that they wanted. Well, the organic spinach looked pretty good, but it was ridiculously expensive. And I love to pick spinach and just make a salad fresh from it. And even though it was organic and it looked pretty good, it was expensive, and I was just like, oh, I just need to grow some. So be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because obviously we're going to be doing a ton of things. And the growing season has begun. So, yeah, I'll be back, and I'll be doing lots of stuff. So, until next time, bye. And don't forget, keep on brainstorming, because obviously we do. Here's my brain. See, it says right there, 2023, January. That's the year, that's the time it starts. And I'm keeping my brain in here and in my phone, just in case I leave it somewhere otherwise. Bye.